Alright, now that we have our Windows environment set up and have our virtual CD-ROM drive installed, we can start the installation. Alright, we'll just click on the little no message icon here. If you get this message here, it's just basically saying that it's going to be utilizing the capture for the mouse and keyboard. You just click on capture there. So now what the system is doing is basically getting the installation files from our ISO image and going through phase 1 of the installation. So that first screen, we'll just leave everything at the default. We'll click on Next and simply click on Install Now. We don't have an activation key as of right now, so we'll click on Don't Have Product Key. We're going to select the Windows 10 Pro. Click on Next. We're going to accept the licensing agreement. Click on Next. Now here we have two options of how we want to begin our installation. We're going to select the second one because we're going to do some custom configurations versus just a straight up upgrade. Select the second one. And now this is showing us the disk that's available for us to install the OS. Now right now it's just showing us that there is a 100 gigabyte drive, and the reason being is because we selected and created a 100 gig drive during the configuration. So if we go to this PC, our home folder, VM, Windows 10, there's that VDI file. You can see it has already grown just a little bit with the pre-install here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change the settings here, because if we click on Next, don't do it right now. Click on Next, it's going to take and configure the hard drive partitions the way it needs to. We're going to adjust the installation just slightly. So we're going to override the default settings and we'll click on New. And instead of utilizing the entire storage capacity here, what we're going to do is we're going to change the value to 75,000 megabyte. Now here is where I noticed that we might have a slight issue depending on what platform you guys are utilizing. We may need to go to the input keyboard and set up a soft keyboard. And the reason I'm having to do this is because in my environment, the way I have things set up, I'm running things virtually and remotely through a Mac. The numbers are not going through and being entered, so that's why I wanted to go to input this. So here we have 75,000. Right, and then we can close this. Again, this was basically input keyboard, and we had what we call a soft keyboard if the numbers don't work when you type in the numbers. We'll click on Apply. Alright, so it gives us a little message here that it might need to create some additional partitions there, which is fine. So you notice what Windows has done. So in this particular case, we have our main primary partition, which is slightly little lower than what we typed in. And we have some additional reserve space for the Windows system. And then we still have about 25 gigs left for other partition that we're able to utilize. Later on, we'll do another little lab with the remaining partition. So we're going to have the selected larger partition. Click on Next. And now this will take a couple minutes for the system to copy over the necessary files, go through the second phase of the install. Now this will take some time depending on your connection as well as the connection at the campus. This may take just a few minutes. If you do something else, you may have to basically click on the active bar here and update the value. So this may be about 10 to 15 minutes of installation. You can see here that we're almost done copying files for the installation. After a couple more minutes, it'll go through the next couple check boxes and the system will then reboot, and then we'll go into phase 2 of the installation. As you can see here, the system is done copying files over, and then it's going to automatically restart. You notice it says press a key to boot from CD or DVD. Don't do this because we already have the operating system on the hard drive, and now it's going to go through its little pre-installation before we get into some additional prompts for the final install. Alright, the system had rebooted one more time, and now it'll get to the point where we're going to answer some additional questions about the install. Alright, and I'm going to finish up the installation here, so we'll look at the next part. So we'll accept the default, click on yes. Keyboard layout, we'll just do the US and we'll click on yes. There's no secondary keyboard, so we'll just click skip. Okay, and then the system will restart one more time. And once again, do not hit any key to start from the CD or DVD because we're starting off the operating system that's already installed. Now what the system is doing is prepping the user profile, and next what we'll be doing is setting up an account. And the option that we're going to select is going to be the second one, because we're not going to create anything with a Microsoft account. So select this one, click on next. We're not going to enter any information over here because that's going to be linked up with a Microsoft account. Instead, we're going to go down below to join a domain. And for this, we're going to create an account called admin. We'll click on next. Password, we'll do capital PASS dot, and again, I have problems doing this with my system that I can't utilize the numbers, so I'm going to put up the soft keyboard and do 1, 2, 3. So the password is capital PASS dot 1, 2, 3. Click on next. Confirm the password PASS dot. Once again, I'll do the keyboard 1, 2, 3, and then click on next. Now the security questions over here, I'm not going to worry about these questions here, but we do have to have something there, otherwise we're not going to complete the installation. So what we'll do is this. We'll select the first three. So the first one, pet name, and I'll just type in password for this one, click on next. Select the second one, type in password, click on next, and then the last one, same thing, password, and we'll just click on next. Because these are the security questions. If you forget your password for the admin account, we're not going to do that because everyone's going to utilize the same password for this environment. For here, the privacy settings, what I'm going to do is I'm going to deselect every single one of these, or turn everything off, and then we'll click on accept. We're not going to use Cortana. We'll select not now, and once again Microsoft is going to go and grab a couple additional files and get your desktop profile ready. Now while that's happening, let's take a look at the file of the VDI. As you can see, this file has grown tremendously, so we're up basically up to 10 gigs already after we're done installing Windows. Now again, this is just a plain regular installation of Windows 10 Pro. Alright, once that is done, we have our Windows environment. We could cancel this thing out, and we have Windows installed. A couple things I want to do with this environment is you notice that there is no this PC on a desktop like we have on the school one here. To do that, we're going to right click, go to personalize, We're going to go down to themes, and we're going to scroll down a bit for desktop icons, and then we're going to select the computer icon, click on OK. We'll close this down, and then we'll have this PC. One more quick thing I like doing is we sort by type, and we have this PC up in the corner, so when we double click on it, we're able to have access to our drive. So you notice that we have a hard drive that's pretty much a lot of files on there already, so we end up utilizing, when it's all said and done, so we have 54 gigs of free space out of that. So if we look at the properties here, we notice that we only end up utilizing the equivalent of almost 18 gigs. And if we look at the actual file, again, the VDI is going to be the equivalent of the actual hard drive used by this environment. So we're utilizing about 10 gigs of the file, and inside the environment we end up utilizing roughly about 18. Now, one more quick thing is, once you're done installing this environment, right click on this PC, go to properties, and then I want you guys to do a quick screenshot of this and submit this for your assignment.